This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengrack. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, AFTCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Pro Guide Batteries, Beatdown Outdoors, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, and Omnia Fishing. Hit him with the hook, Jeffries.
PTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. And yes, I have survived the first Bassmaster Open of the 2023 season. As promised, we had 2 live shows on location from Lake Eufaula, Alabama. The first one at the Big Bite Baits headquarters. I had a tough time saying that mouthful the entire time I was there. The Big Bite Baits headquarters from Eufaula, Alabama, on the final day of practice. If you haven't had a chance, go back and watch that replay on the BTL YouTube channel or the podcast download. Really cool stuff to be able to talk to those guys in real time. And then Hank Weldon, the tournament director for the Bassmaster Opens EQ, was gracious enough on Wednesday, just after official practice ended, before the check-in started, to take some questions, to talk a little bit about the goings-on of the Bass Nation revamp, and then also the Bassmaster Opens EQs. We're going to take a deep dive into the EQs and the first 2 Elite Series tomorrow. One of the most popular features from BTL last year was when Bradley Hallman would be in studio and we'd break down the Opens, what we did good, what we did bad. Little bit different this year, because Bradley's on the Bassmaster Elite Series and I'm still in the Opens. So we're going to go through Bradley's first 2 events on Lake Seminole and Lake Okeechobee. He's in, I think, like 55th in the Angler of the Year standing. So he had one really good event, one event he kind of struggled in. He's going to be on live tomorrow to break all that stuff down. And then he's also going to break down my Open results. Like I said, I survived it, 230 boats, 47th place finish. A lot of interesting stuff that went down in the most recent Bassmaster Open. We will dive into that tomorrow. Boy, we got a lot to cover. We also have Red Crest that's coming up, that's kicking off on Lake Norman. We will have an update from Red Crest. We have Greg DePalma following in the footsteps of Dave Lefebvre and Mike Iaconelli, jumping into a Bassmaster kayak event and winning that event in his first kayak event on Lake Gunnersville. We'll talk a little bit about that this week. We'll talk about the upcoming schedule, and we will talk about how, seriously, go to when you're done with the show today, go to Dakota Ebear's profile on Major League Fishing, and then also look him up, his stats on the BPT. Absolutely insane. He obviously got his first big win earlier this year in the Toyota Series, and then came back on Clark's Hill with one of the most insane. So I'll bring in today's guest, because both of these guys are hardcore fishermen, and that is that's the guys from Omnia. We have Polish Pete and Trevor Lowe, both hardcore fishermen. What's up, guys? And we're going to have a fantastic show today. We're actually going to break down, I think there's 5 or 6 events using the BTL sponsors for the betterment of the show. We're going to break down all the baits that were used in the first quarter of the season. What's up, guys?
How we doing, Matt?
How's it going, Pete? What's up, Trevor? All right, you guys are both fishermen. Did you guys happen to see Dakota Ebear's video of the 8-pounder that he caught during the Clark's Hill event?
I just caught some stuff on social media about it. That's all I've done.
Have you seen it yet, Trevor?
No, I haven't.
All right. So Dakota Ebear, hottest angler on the planet, like can do nothing wrong in the BPT, in the Toyotas. It doesn't matter. BFLs, Jackpots, Team Series. He's going to be in the top 5 right now. So it's on Clark's Hill, big fish, hard to come by, right?
Yeah.
Pitches to this tree, sees it on live scope, sees a fish next to it, pitches to the tree with a jig, jams it, gets it a quarter of the way back, breaks his line. He said, "No, that was a big one." Yeah, sure it was. You always lose all the big ones that you break off, right? Reties his jig, stands back up and goes, "Hey, it swam right back to that stump." Pitches another jig in there. He goes, it bites. He turns to the camera on game day and says, "You're not going to believe this. I think she just bit it again." Cracks it, 8-pounder, 2 jigs in its mouth.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you're living right. I mean, you fished in the big events, Trevor, and it does it not seem like in those big events the opposite happens?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's almost as if you had a smallmouth on a bed and you threw everything at it and it just wouldn't touch it when those are the most aggressive fish. And that, of course, that's how it's going to be in the big time events.
Yeah. So anyway, Dakota Ebear, he's at Redcrest. Would you guys want to bet against Dakota Ebear at Redcrest this week on Lake Norman?
Oh man, not right now, not on the burner he's on, but I gotta imagine Thrift and Montgomery will have something to say about it. So.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, Trevor, you're in Minnesota, correct?
I am.
Pete, you're in freaking Florida.
Yes, sir.
What are you working down there, or are you on vacay?
I am working down here today, but my parents live in Tampa, right outside of Tampa, actually. So me and my wife try and sneak down for a couple weekends a year and maybe stick around a day or two extra. If I can plug in from work remote, I'll do that just to catch a little sun.
Dude, you ever do the pier fishing? I mean, I know that Tampa area pretty well, and there's some really good jetties and piers down there. Like I've done it since I was like 7.
I like to hunt around the golf courses here and do a little bit of fishing. But I have a good friend, Jeremy Keel, who's a guide down here in Tampa. So I usually jump on the boat with him and actually do a little snook and red fishing when I'm down here.
Okay, that's fun. My big thing is you take the like a paint, what is that? Paint scraper, and then you attach it to the extendable pole of a pool skimmer, and then you go to the jetties and piers. This is top secret stuff here, Pete.
Okay.
Like you need to do this. Then you go to the jetties and piers, right? And you look down, and I'm targeting sheep's head.
Yep.
And you take that scraper and you start banging the sides of it to break the barnacles off. Now you've just created a natural chum trail.
Wow.
Really?
Then you take a fiddler crap. You can get them in the mangroves, but there's a lot of stuff that can bite and kill you down there. So I just like to spend overprice and buy them by the dozen, right?
Yeah.
Take a little drop shot hook. And then, I can't believe I'm going to say this, you Carolina rig it. About a 1.5 liter, 20-pound test, and you drop it down there with the egg sinker and the chum trail, and it feels like a bluegill pecking on it. And boom, you get them, sheep's head, limit out in an hour. It's like the most fun. Like if I had death row fishing and they were like, you get 1 day to fish for the rest of your life, I'm going down to the Tampa area, I'm scraping barnacles, and I'm catching sheep's head.
Love it.
So it's super cheap too. What is going on in the background, Trevor?
I think we've got some
are you in the
guys moving some stuff.
Are you in the warehouse where you're located?
Warehouse/studio.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, let's just take it. What's going on at Omnia with you guys you have going on there? It's a brand new year. We kind of checked in at the end of last year when we were running the Win Seth fight. Did someone win Seth Fighter stuff, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but yeah, someone did win Seth Fighter stuff.
That was when we had you on last. We're 2.25 months into the new season. What's going on at Omnia? What's new at Omnia that people can get excited about?
Well, Trevor can run over some of our new technologies and stuff like that, but we're heading into 2023. It's crazy to think that we're still technically a startup. We're a few years into this being in retail, so but a lot's changed as far as new building. We're filled that place up already. As you can hear, they're still filling it up in the back right now. We've seen a big rise in consumables this year. People are purchasing baits at a faster rate than ever before, which is crazy because, the economic pressures we're seeing all over the place has slowed down some of those bigger purchase items. Except for forward-facing sonar, as you can imagine, people still buy those like crazy. But high-end rods and reels and things of that nature, people are feeling the pinch a little bit from the economic pressures out there with gas and all that kind of stuff being so expensive. But man, we can burn through some baits like you wouldn't believe right now. People are hungry to get out fishing. We added Trevor last year, which is super cool. And he's been doing a lot of stuff, outreach with our ambassador groups and sponsored anglers and shows and things of that nature. But the tech team has some special stuff rolling out here for everybody that is going to be, we're going to test it with our premium subscribers only. So if you are a premium member at Omnia Fishing, you'll get access to this. We're going to be showing you some new technology called temp layers, where actually all the lakes that you want to do your research on will actually show you the temperatures. Trevor, you want to touch more on that?
We're diving right into the nitty gritty right off the hopper. We are going to go through all the winning baits for the year so far. But yes, sure. we had, but shockingly BTL, we had a little pre-BTL meeting to make sure that I got this right, because Trevor was talking to me. You guys have like such a good team over there, by the way. Like you have like people who check on people to make sure everything's rolling. Well-oiled machine. All right, continue, Trevor.
You. Yeah, so for our premium members, we've got this new thing. It's in beta testing. We're super excited about it. And we call it our Omnia temp layers. So if you, Panger, if you want to pull it up and share your screen, I don't know if you're ready for that, but
let's do it.
So
there it is.
So if you go on our website and you pull up our map, generally speaking, you see all the pins with the lakes that you're wanting to go look at, and read fishing reports, see what the hot baits are. But we've added a new feature called temp layers. So let's zoom in on Eufaula. Panger's pretty familiar with there. He just came back from there.
I'm familiar with 2 shell beds on Lake Eufaula. The rest of it, the other 99.99%, they can have it.
Right. So we use satellite imaging to read surface temps off the water. And now we're going to have, these temperatures readily available to you. So as you can see, obviously, with this time of year, we're going to have warming trends in the backs of the creeks and up in the shallow parts of the lake. And so you can see here, these are the temperature readings, and obviously they correlate with color as well. So the yellows and the oranges are going to be your warmer areas. And there might be variance of a couple degrees, but in terms of consistency, it should be within a few degrees of what's actually happening.
This is definitely, like, I wanted to check like on the major spawning areas and pockets. There were certain areas that I think had about 20 boats in them, and they are definitely warmer than a lot of the other pockets that I did not see as many fish up in. Now, I did not take advantage of that bounty being boat 167 on day one. But had I been an earlier boat draw, this would have been a very handy app to have at my disposal.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, this will help you break down large bodies of water a lot quicker if you're in that mode where you want to look for some spawning waters or some warmer water, so you can imagine your dirtier water, crick arms, stuff will warm up faster this time of year. You'll be able to break it down quicker and run around and cover some water faster without having to guess which creeks are warmer than the others.
All right. And so just for those who want to get to this information, then you, like I said, I'm logged into my account in Omnia right now. And then I guess you just gave me like access to it so we could show it. But this is something that you're working on now. Premium membership is what, $19.99?
It's $29.99, $30 a year.
To $30 a year, and that gives you discounts, shipping, faster access to people, all of this stuff.
Yep.
For $30.
Free shipping, no minimum. So there's, you need 1 bag of Senkos when you're somewhere in the country. You can order that and you don't have to pay shipping ever. It's 10% back all the time on all your orders. And now you're going to have access to the temp layers. The premium to me has been really cool too. When we have hot baits, like we're going to talk about some of the baits today that may have ran out of inventory or ran out of stock. If there's hot lures out there, you as a premium member get access to them before they hit the general public. So if we get our hands on we'll get into it later, but the fuzzy dice or something along those lines.
Dude, we're 100% going to talk at length about the rubber dice, the fuzzy dice, the candy cube, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Like I'm mesmerized by this. All right, let's get this out of the way before we do it. So you guys have also set up, like I said, Omni is on top of it, have also set up a landing page for BTL with a 15% off discount for BTL listeners. It is just omniafishing.com/BTL. And that gives you 15% off purchases when you use code capital BTL 23.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Yep.
All right. Let's get into some of these baits. So I wanted to get you guys on after basically the Florida portion of the year. And we'll go ahead and throw in Clarks Hill because that happened last weekend with Dakota eBear. But is that when you guys at Omnia really kind of see sales of baits kind of start to pick up when those tournaments start kicking off and guys start crushing 20, 30, 35 pound bags?
Yeah, absolutely. We see the correlation with tournaments is big with our consumer base. The staples sell right away as soon as, over the winter and stuff. You can sell the no-brainer stuff like your bladed jigs and lipless crankbaits and things of that nature. But the stuff that people wait for till they kind of need, like things like finesse worms and drop shot weights and all that kind of stuff, you'll see that kick off in tournaments. And then obviously winning baits, hard baits, things of that nature will fire right up post tournaments.
What's best for you guys as a tackle? Do you want someone to win on an expensive, hard to find JDM bait, or do you want them to win on a Cinco or a fighting frog or something that is just really easy to get? Like, where's the juice in it for you guys as a tackle company or a tackle distributor?
I can definitely say when we've got that weird JDM bait, let's say someone hit something on a depths glide or something, it'd be fantastic. When we don't have it, it can cause some real headaches for my team in particular, because it's tough. Usually I can find through my connections from my previous employer, through the Japanese, I can usually find somebody to get my hands on some of these baits, but usually it's in such small quantities initially that we're basically sold out as soon as we get them. Heck, we have to beg the warehouse team not to just buy them all as soon as they show up. So yeah, to answer your question, I absolutely love it when it's something like a lipless crankbait or a fighting frog from Big Bite, and I can call the folks at Big Bite. I can call Valster and his team and Bill Shepke and say, please send me as many fighting frogs as you can. We'll get them right away.
All right, you want to start breaking down the tournaments? We can start with I guess the first one would have been the Invitational on Okeechobee, February 8th, the one that Joshua Weaver ran, kind of a new look invitationals with full field and cutting to the top 50. And then it's only 3 days. And Joshua Weaver ended up winning that, and surprise, surprise, chatterbait.
Yep. Yeah. I actually was going to pull some data. I was having Trevor going to pull some data for you for what by state, what the popular baits were. And it was pretty boring. It was exactly what you think. And it was
I would love, next time you guys come back on, I would love to hear that, even if it is boring, just to see if the stereotypes ring true, which you're saying they do.
Absolutely. If you could close your eyes right now and just spout out what 3 baits you need to bring to Florida right now, those are the baits that are on there. So the chatterbait was king by a mile, without a doubt. And then your stick baits and various flipping creature baits, a sweet beaver, a rage bug, and a fighting frog.
Let me ask you guys this, because we'll get to that eventually. Chris Lane wins on a BPS sticko worm on the Kissimmee chain.
Yep.
Are there people then that are running out and buying the sticko worm at their local Bass Pro, or does that trickle down to where you see the Cincos and the trick sticks and the lunker logs and
the fat ace,
the Zoom, what is that, the Slinko now, whatever they have? Do you see all of those also have an uptick, or when it's one on something so traditional like it was for the most part this year in Florida, is that not really an uptick because people already have that stuff?
It's a good question. I mean, I definitely think we see the rise in the stick bait sales, even if it's one-on-one that we don't carry like a Bass Pro Shops model. I think, let's face it, the fishing consumer, especially your tournament bass anglers, they're so learned now on stick baits and all that. They're going to have confidence in those style baits. If it's a brand new bait, like we're not to touch on it for the 100th time, but the fuzzy dice or the rubber dice, that's going to obviously get a unique purchaser out of that. But, for me, for example, I like the Generals, and I like the traditional Yamamoto Senko. If I rig it on a jig head, I fish the Big Bite stick worms, because just durability factor. You're not probably going to get me or a lot of our customers to jump from what their confidence level is in the stick bait at this stage of the game. If it was a brand new bait, different story.
I'm tired of teasing it. We're going there.
Yeah, do it.
All right, I'm sharing the screen. There it is. There's Koi Fujita. Koi Fujita caught some of his fish. He appears to be using a spinning rod. I've said this from the beginning of the year, and I'm going to either die on this or I'm going to look like a genius, that he is going to revolutionize the industry in the next year to 3 years. We're going to see a lot more trends towards finesse stuff. That's a follow-up question for you, Pete. Do you feel like there's a lot more trends headed towards finesse work nationwide as opposed to just up north where everyone's been using the egg beater?
Absolutely, without a doubt, especially with everybody staring at their forward-facing sonars now. It's going to be about how to get those fish to bite that aren't biting, that you're staring at on forward-facing sonar. It's just going to be anglers getting better at getting those fish to commit.
Hold on, I'm going to open this image in a new tab, and then I'm going to zoom in on it. I'm going to zoom in on it because this is the real deal, folks. There it is. There it is. All right, this is the second place finisher. What? Okay, you are Omnia Fishing, Trevor. You do this full time. You're watching live. You're making sure you have it. And Koya starts throwing a. Well, why don't you just describe it, Trevor? For those listening on the podcast, how would you describe the prototype candy lure, aka the rubber dice JDM?
Man, I don't even know.
Just have at it. The floor is yours. Just you get a minute to describe what the hell this is.
Yeah, tell us how you fish it, Trevor.
How you fish it?
Yeah.
if you throw it on a drop shot, I don't know if it's going to get much traction or much movement out of it. If you throw it weightless, it might just float.
Not how you fish it. Describe what it is.
It looks like a rubber sugar cube with a bunch of those man-made brush pile poles sticking out of it.
Oh, I like it. I like that.
I mean, the mini brush pile cube. Maybe we'll call it that.
Picture the round rubber that's in like a finesse jig, right? That like the old school, like a Brad Hallman LBJ.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, a sugar cube, maybe like a Yahtzee dice.
Yep.
There you go.
And except it's, I guess, I don't know. I've never seen one in person. I'm just going off of this dang photo.
Yeah.
Except it's like the consistency. How do you think that's a soft bait? Like, is that the consistency of like a flipping bait?
I would imagine so. I've heard now that I've did a little research on it that it gets free rigged a lot, and I gotta imagine it's some sort of soft plastic because it's got to have a little bit of buoyancy to it. So I don't know. I'm most intrigued by how they're going to package this. Because how do you package that without getting the little silicone arms all bent over or something?
Dude,
like
it's
that,
a rubber cube with silicone arms. You think they're going to matter if one of them's a little kinked up? Look at this thing,
buddy. I know you've got friends like my friends that'll flip out if that thing's all bent up when you take it out of the package. So I got to see what this thing's going to be like.
All right, regardless of what it is, you did a fair. I liked the brush pile comparison with the thing on it. It does look at that. That does look like a artificial fish structure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fished. Looks like he's got fluorocarbon to braid there. Fished on a like a weedless wacky hook.
Mm-hmm.
Just hooked in the sun.
Yep.
It is soft plastic. There's some people on here that are saying it comes both in a salted and non-salted version, that it is a soft plastic. It looks like ice cubes with single strand of jig material going through it. All right, Pete. So this is where it comes into play for you.
Yeah.
I'm assuming at some point in your last 6 months to 2 years, you'd heard of this thing.
I've seen it before. I'd never been asked for it. I didn't try to track it down.
It was not on the top of Omnia's wish list to make sure that you had the hairy cube in all 6 colors that it comes in.
Yeah, that's on me. I was shown it by one of the people who helps us get some importation done, and yes, I glanced right over it and thought that will live in Japan and die in Japan. It will not make it over here, and I was wrong.
All right, so I'm assuming you probably went through this with the cover scat,
or
with all that. What is the process? You are Omnia Fishing. You make your living on getting this stuff, and now you're flooded with inboxes for people who want soft plastic cubes with jig strands through it.
For sure.
How do you get that stuff from Japan or wherever the hell it's located to the store to where you could send it out by 1 p.m. on same day shipping with no shipping charge for premium members so they can be fishing this monstrosity within 24 hours?
Yeah. A good call. Well, the biggest struggle for us now, early on, it was pretty simple to maybe reach out to some people that import tackle. There's a bunch of people like that on the West Coast and like the Arizona and California areas, or in Chicago. Chicago's a big port to bring in baits from Japan as well that you could reach out to and they could order it. But you're talking very small numbers. And early on in Omnia, we could pull that off. I could order 12 of something, get it over here, and it was worth dealing with it at that level. But at the rate we're at right now, that would actually only just piss off our consumer base pretty bad if I got 12, because 2 anglers could buy those out right away and we could be sitting on them empty for months. So my process now is, but in order to justify having our merchandising team build the pages, figure out how to get it wired up through our Omnia ecosystem with the fishing reports and all that stuff, the amount of work that goes into a bait like that is, I'm going to take my time and make sure I have a fully strong distribution base for it. So I'm going to go directly to the manufacturer on this one for a while. I believe there's 2 that are going to try and do this bait. So and try and get a direct line of importation for it. But most likely I'll end up begging some of our friends out there on the West Coast to get their hands on a big shipment for us. But I'm guessing I'm in line with about a dozen other fishing tackle retailers.
That's what I say. I mean, it has to get kind of cutthroat when something new to the market comes out, because I mean, I'm a fisherman. I'm a guy to find that photo. I'm Googling Japanese candy. There's some weird stuff that comes up.
Yeah,
when
don't
you start
do that.
Googling
Don't
this
do
stuff.
that.
And the first one that pulls up, I'm clicking on it. Right. So that's your kind of struggle is to have it in stock. You talked about all the behind the scenes stuff so that you're on the kind of leading edge of the wave of this, and not when 12, 15, 20 other places already have it available.
Correct. And there was a point in time in the company where it was, obviously I want to be first. We were trying to do that, and we did a very good job with that with some of the Canadian baits, as the Johnsons and Gussie exposed stuff. We were able to get in front of all that and be the first people with the Smeltonator jig or this, that, or the other thing. Yeah. But at the scale we're at now, unfortunately, it doesn't do me any good to track down 12 or 24 or something. Yeah. It'll literally just... It'll piss off our consumer base and my team, because they did a bunch of work to put it all together for us to sit empty. So I'll let some of the cool little shops that I still even shop at, hopefully they can get the 12s and 24s, the first batches that come out there. But hopefully within the next few weeks, we've got a whole big batch of them, and we have a supply chain that'll support our customer base for your
similar with the cover scat.
Yeah, exactly right. Very similar to the cover scat. We were not first to market on it. We were probably in the top 6, I bet, to get our hands on it. But we got a pretty good line on them where we had a lot. So we were able to move them in volume.
All right. So then I would imagine the next issue is, let's say this is the hot thing. We're talking about it on BTL. Everyone's trying to get this thing. What if it doesn't play anymore? What if guys get it and they don't know how to fish it? And then you end up with 800 plastic cubes with freaking round rubber sticking through it. And then you're kind of screwed on that end too. So it's like a real delicate dance, is it not?
It absolutely can be. But I hate saying it this way. I don't mean to rip on it, because I'm certainly known amongst my friend circle and the tournament anglers that I'm buddies with as being a tackle geek for sure. Usually when stuff's that rare and unique, and especially JDM plastics, it's not hard, even if it's not a real player in our waters around here. People will buy it just because of its rarity. I'm not too worried about having too much of anything like that.
All right. Hey, we got to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk about some more winners. I want to dive into jerk baits. I would imagine in the industry right now that, I mean, you could just run a successful online business selling nothing but jerk baits. especially with the advance
yeah.
of the forward-facing sonar and how we're seeing it playing absolute coast to coast. So we will dive into the jerk baits and the anglers who have used them in non-traditional ways to win hundreds of thousands of dollars this year.
Right.
Polish Pete, Trevor Lowe, the Iron Man from the Grand Classic from Omnia, talking unique baits and winning baits and top 10 baits from the 2023 first quarter of the season. We will be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up. You're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you don't want to just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you. No matter what the environment is, we want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa. All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Monday back in studio. And I do have to give a little shout out. I wanted to run the Shoreline Boat and RV commercial at the end because my boy Brock, who fished with his buddy Jacob Exton on the Nichols Team Series this past week on Grand Lake. I'm actually going to do an entire show where I'm going to get people from the Alabama Bass Trail, the Triple T in Texas, and the Nichols to just get on and just yell at each other over which the most competitive and most talented field in team fishing is. We even throw someone in from the West Coast just to make sure they're represented. Anyway, Brock and Jacob went out, banged out 21 plus, won themselves a new Camus plus all the incentive money. I think like 60 grand as a whole, but their goal for like the past decade has been to get a dub in the Nichols, 250 boats. Mike McClellan, his boy, fished it. I mean, dude, like it's a it's a big deal. It's one of the top 3 team series in the country. They knocked out the W yesterday. So congrats, Jacob. Congrats, Brock. A little personal touch on that. But before the break, we're talking with Pete and Trevor from Omnia Fishing, and wanted to dive into jerk baits. Obviously, the first Elite Series Tyler event in the Kissimmee River, won on a Berkeley Stunna. But jerk baits, I would assume, have to be your number 1 hard bait seller right now, correct?
Oh, for dollars, correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Because the price of the 110, the Stunnas, we've burned through those new scope sticks from Bill Lewis, the KVD deep, the 300 jerk baits, we fly through those as well. And obviously all the Rapala offerings as well. Can't forget about those.
And so many new jerk baits coming to the market too. So, I mean, that category just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you can see the commitment by the manufacturers to make them a little bit better now. Now that, it was the case for a long time that the 110 was the one that could cast really far and still suspend in cold water. Now you're starting to see that the other manufacturers are starting to get more picky about how nice they make a jerk bait. So you've got great offerings now from Duo and Berkeley, Rapala, so on and so forth. A lot more. They even knew that new Bill Lewis scope stick that just came out. That's got a tungsten transfer weight in it, which you typically don't see manufacturers doing in jerk bait. So a lot of offerings in jerk bait.
How do you determine what to carry? I mean, if there's 30 jerk baits out there from 30 different companies, and then the bigger companies have 6 or 7 jerk baits in that lineup, like how do you know what needs to be on omniafishing.com, what needs to be available, and what you're like, we're going to pass on this one? Is that your call, Pete? Is that your call?
It ends up landing on me, on myself. But Trevor, for example, he can come to me and say, hey, I've been talking to ambassadors down in, pick a part of the country. Trevor can explain that process, and he'll come to me and say, hey, we don't have rogues, and all these Eastern Oklahoma guys are telling me that we're lacking in this area. Typically what we do is we'll try small volume of certain colors from each manufacturer and let the consumers kind of tell us where we're lacking. We do a lot of consumer surveys, but I can let Trevor kind of explain the process at this point of how I add new stuff.
Yeah, I think Pete touched on it really well. We obviously love hearing from our customers and our consumers, and we want them to feel that they have a voice in our community in terms of what we do and how we expand in our product selection. I work directly with affiliates that are content creators, anglers, guides of the sort, and they give me good insight because obviously us being up here in Minnesota, they kind of serve as our boots on the ground in these various regions that we're trying to expand into or grow our customer base. And they're the ones that have that local knowledge that's going to be more helpful than us just trying to guess, what to bring in. And, if they can demonstrate that there is a demand for it, then I go to Polish Pete here and I knock on his window and I say, hey, I want to talk to you about another brand. Have you heard about this one? And chances are Pete's like, oh yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Like I said, we want to make sure that our consumers feel that they do have a voice in determining what we carry. And we don't want to be that retailer that says, we're not going to listen to our customers and our consumers because yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, they're the ones that support us.
So is that how you see a lot of maybe smaller brands you haven't heard of that you're like, oh, I haven't heard of this, and you click on it? It's because it's regionally desired. You have good ambassadors. You've got your ear to the tournament scene and boots on the ground with ambassadors, and they're saying, hey, we can supply this bait to you, because I would imagine supply is also a huge thing. Like, even if it's the greatest thing in the world, if you don't have it, all you're doing is ticking off the people who think you have it, and then it's like, hey, sorry, we don't have it.
Yep, you got it.
But that's how you can have a small garage deal or a small company start and then get big, is through, I mean, that's a whole process. The be able to make it working with guys who represent that company, you have a vested interest in it, and you guys find out about it. Now all of a sudden, boom, it's available with 3 clicks.
Yep. exactly. Trevor will come to me and say, there's guys that want to do fishing reports, file them for us down in whatever, pick a part of the country, and say that, but you're not carrying the jerk bait that they're using on forward facing sonar, or you don't have the Janko spy bait, or you don't have this, that, or the other thing. And I have to go chase it down. So it's that's the big key to a lot of our fishing report stuff is getting honest feedback from people on what baits are being used and being all over the country regionally. But otherwise, like you said, Matt, I'll talk to Seth Fighter before and after every single tournament and get a rundown from him on stuff that, are cool baits that people are actually using in tournaments. And that's actually, believe it or not, a little easier than servicing some angler maybe in Idaho or upstate New York.
They have no idea what
they're on some crazy bite from some little homemade manufacturer. We've got blade baits from people on Lake Erie that I'd never heard of the brand, but that was just from consumers wanting to file fishing reports.
So I'm buddies with Michael Simonton. He used to fish the Elite Series. He's a freaking good dude, man. He's a
Venture
teacher.
Lures,
Okay, so you're aware of him. So when I remember Michael was like, dude, I'm guiding and I'm tired of these guys going through 100 packs. And like, I just learned how to pour my own stuff, and like literally was down in his basement with a 1 cavity mold pouring little drop shot baits that quite frankly look weird out of 1 cavity molds, and like spending all night to get enough for the guide trip the next time. And then, I went and visited him again when I went through, and he's like, look, I'm pouring 6 at a time now in the deal. And then now, I mean, dude, he's turned that into like, he's got a little group of guys who absolutely love it. And he's got that, I mean, you guys know about it. I mean, I knew about it before he'd ever poured a single one. He's like, I'm thinking about starting my own bait company, and I just go down in the evenings and pour it. I mean, I was in his basement. It was just one thing. He was pouring 1 plastic at a time for years.
Yeah. I can't remember. It was somebody in the industry reached out to me about Mike, and Mike was a super cool guy. Easy to talk to, fisherman. He fished, like you said, fish the elites, and he's a school teacher. But he has one of the hottest little swim baits on planet Earth for, I'm going to blow out Trevor's favorite home hole there, Mille Lacs.
I'm assuming that one, right?
Yeah, you got it. I had some friends that were getting them from Mike, just like you said, Matt, just from him, because he was pouring them 1 at a time kind of deal. And he actually was able to, that's how it started. He got us the swim baits because we were fishing on little football heads and little ball head jigs, and you're catching they were crushing the smallmouth on Mille Lacs for a while there with them. So
this is the first shape that I ever saw make. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, it's just like, cool. Like, I hope that works out for you, dude. Yeah. And then I'm just being honest, flat on one side, kind of rough a little bit. I'm like, well, I mean, thank God smallmouth elite dang near anything you put down there. But dude, I mean, it's like catches fish. And now look, I mean, this is Omnia. I didn't even check this before. This was the last minute, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 of Venture Lure products on the site. And those are all still, I mean, as far as I know, I haven't talked to him in a couple of months, but those are all still coming out of Michael's basement.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are.
100%. He's down there pouring them in the evenings. He's, taking care of the family, teaching, and then going down and pouring them in the evening and then distributing them. But yeah, that Steady Swimmer is a 3-inch swim bait that feels, should I not talk about it? Are you saying?
You can
okay.
Go for it.
And like I said, no affiliation whatsoever other than I'm buddies with Michael. You put that on like an 1/8 ounce ball head and like 6 to 8 pound test, and it feels like you're reeling in a chatterbait. That's how.
You beat me to it.
You can't slow roll it. Like it's not like a deal that you want to. But when you need one that you're winding like that, it literally is like dook, 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 dook. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in a little bitty bait.
Yeah. No, he's Mike's great people, and that's a perfect example of somebody who we talked to. Mike, he got his friends to start filing some fishing reports for a bit different smallmouth fisheries, and he was able to kind of help us create an assortment through his network of anglers that were fishing, his customers and friends that were fishing. And that's all stuff that catches him somewhere. You know what I mean? That's all like good, juicy fish catching stuff. Like you said, it's maybe not catch a fisherman as much as it is catch a fish.
That's the goofiest looking little craw thing I've ever seen. Like he showed me that one, and I was like, "Oh yeah, good for you."
Yeah,
but
I will tell you,
it freaking catches the crap out of them.
For any of you that are actual Ned riggers, that's a killer little Ned rig craw. That thing stands straight up and down, and it is awesome.
But I mean, I didn't mean to get on that trend just to try to sell venture lures, but that's a perfect example of what we were talking about getting a regional bait from a guy into the national scene.
Correct. You know, Pang, are you talking about that dropper? If you pull it back up, we're talking about bait descriptions and trying to, that fuzzy cube, right? The fuzzy dice.
Yeah.
You turn that thing vertical, and it kind of reminds me of one of those. If you're in a '90s home that was built in the '90s, it looks like one of those stairway rails.
Dude, I have one in my kitchen here. I got a home that was like built in the early '90s. It does. It looks like one of those banister rails that the kids get their heads stuck in between.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, that's wild. That's good stuff.
So to answer your question, or to go back to what we were talking about earlier with like the fuzzy cube, I want to carry it because everybody's asking for it and all that. But to be completely honest, we're more concerned right now, my team, unless Trevor's kicking my door down for a reason that we're missing on a bait category. Most of our additions now are driven by feedback from anglers that are coming from regionally saying you're not supporting. Like you could tell right now, I'll admit it, it's a weakness. It's driving me nuts. We are weak in the Pacific Northwest as far as an assortment, just because it's really not a bass fishing mecca up there. And the more we're starting to communicate and Trevor's doing outreach up there, we'll start seeing some little bait manufacturers coming out of the Pacific Northwest.
And the more you listen to the people, the less chance you have of ending up with a 3-year supply of Lunker Hunt spiders.
Yeah.
I'm not saying those don't sell. I'm just saying that.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it's interesting. It's good stuff. Are there any other little ones that I need to look up right now that I maybe don't know just because I happen to know Michael, Trevor, any of you guys? Or was Adventure Lures probably one of the best examples I could use?
I think the only thing that comes to mind for me is when I fished a Chaffalay Basin down in Louisiana Delta.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the humdinger?
The spinner bait.
Yeah. And that is like the deal down there. And if you're from there, you know about it. If you don't fish there much, you don't hear too much about it, but it's funny because it's like the skirt isn't like silicone. It's like felt strips in a sense, but man, that thing catches them down there. And if you're not throwing that, you're throwing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Matt, are you familiar with stupid tubes?
Okay, that's a northern thing that everyone talks about, but I am not familiar with them. What do I need to look up?
So that'd be a Bite Me Tackle, the jig manufacturer, but that Zona's boys, I should say, have worked with that guy in the past, creating just some tube jig heads and stuff. And that guy made some
that thing right there.
Yeah, you got it.
What's so special about it? Why does everybody talk about that up north, and down here we're like, yeah, cool, it's a tube jig, good for you.
You can actually, because of the style of the hook, you can texopose the tube, so you can actually rig the tube weedless with the tube jig head in there, and then flip it around. Yeah. So that is a huge deal up in this neck of the woods. But that's another example of that's just getting people riding us like crazy. Of like, hey, you need it. And I can tell you right now, we burn through those things as fast as we get them, all over the Midwest, up into New York.
Huh. I like the feature where you could actually like zoom in on it too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's freaking cool that you could see everything. Do you have is the tube on here that you actually put on it?
Yeah, you can use any 3.5 to 4 inch tube.
I got you. So you can throw like the big bite tube on. You can throw any Strike King. It doesn't matter.
Nope. If it's a tube, you can texopose it with a tube jig head in it, and it's weedless, and flip it around.
All right, Trevor, what else has been key this year? We talked about the jerk baits. I said we talked about the hairy cube.
Well, if you want to take a look at Seminole, the cowboy there won it off a drop shot.
I loved that. I absolutely loved that.
I'm always a big fan of guys that.
You think Ish loved that?
No, Ish did not like that.
No, I'm always a big fan of seeing guys go down south and winning it on a fairy wand. Because that's kind of my ballpark. I love throwing a spinning setup. I mean, I could flip a bait caster and everything like that, but if I can catch them on a spinning rod, that's my bread and butter. So it's really cool to see success, especially down in like Florida, that sort of that region of the country. It's starting to play a lot more than just up here north for smallmouth.
As a whole, top 3 selling colors on Omnia when it comes to drop shot worms.
What would you say, Pete? Like a Morning Dawn, Aaron Martin's,
like a Morning Dawn, Aaron's Magic.
Not to bore everybody, but green pumpkin's going to be number 1 by a mile.
So green pumpkin's the number 1 selling color worm, no matter what.
It's probably, honestly, it's not even close. But green pumpkin still outsells everything. But when you get into those, the hand poured style worms, that's when you get into the Aaron's Magic and Morning Dawn are probably 2 and 3.
What else you got, Trevor? Yep, there you go. Hold those up. Let me see. I don't know if can I go big with? I don't think I can go big
do that.
with 3 people.
Does that work?
Yeah, there you go. So that's like what the Margarita Mutilator Robo Worm and then the Missile Baits Magic Worm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a collab with Robo Worm.
It is. Yeah.
That's kind of a unique thing that John's doing with that.
It is. He's doing a couple things like that. He's doing some collab stuff also with Hog Farmer, with that spunk chat. So John likes to sell catch a fish baits, that's for sure. So if something's working, he has no problem working with that brand. So,
all right, what else, Trevor?
We've got Fighting Frogs. Obviously, that's a big player down south. Tilapia Magic, I believe this is the color. That was big player down there. But Tyler Rivette is a buddy of mine from college. I fished against him in the college series, and so obviously, really cool to see him win. But that forward facing sonar stuff. We got our Berkeley Stunnas, Vision 110s. Kind of the two of the, I guess, premier jerk baits on the market right now, the Vision 110s, but then the Stunnas are really showing up for sure in the last year or so that they've been out. They've got great hooks on them. They cast really well and they catch fish. So,
I mean, jerk baits are to the point where if you come out with one that sucks, it doesn't last. It just doesn't sell because there's so many great ones that are available now. I mean, it used to be Rogue. In my opinion, it used to be Rogue, Megabass, and Strike King.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And now, I mean, there's a dozen options. I mean, and then the McStick came on too. The McStick is I would say probably 4, but it came on a little bit just a tad later than that. But I mean, there's so many good ones out now.
Yeah, that Duo Realis one's no joke either. There's a lot of good fishermen, good jerkbait fishermen. A lot of them have that Duo one as well.
Just because of the profile of it and how it acts, a little different than all of them.
Yeah. It's a little bit better in warmer water than the 110 as far as I can see, as far as at least the anglers buying them. I'm not saying the performance is better, but it seems like you get outside of those really cold weather months and that Duo one sells like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Do you want boring baits to win, or do you want the $20-$30 crazy baits to win? Like Dakota Ebear wins on Clark's Hill with a vibrating jig and a 3/16 ounce Strike King shaky head.
Yeah.
Are you making more money on a swim bait chatter, like a $20-$30 lure when people go order it, or on Strike King shaky heads and green pumpkin worms? One's probably a lot less headache than the other.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is for me, more than revenue being a big target when a tournament happens, it's more about servicing our customers to the highest level. We want to win that week of sales and have the products in stock, which has been a challenge. A lot of people do forget, and it's a good thing. It's a testament to the team at Omnia, but we're still so young. We're still adding products to even catch up to some of our competitors. You know what I mean? We're a new company, so honestly, right now, I'd have to say I'd like it easier. Like I hope it's on a green pumpkin shaky head and a green pumpkin 4-inch Senko, and I've got them, and I got lots of them. It looks like a hero. But I'll tell you, you got a point though. There is nothing cooler than when you hit with something really, really high buck, and jackhammers are no joke. They're pretty expensive. We sell a lot of jackhammers, so that doesn't hurt either. But I wanted to ask you, Matt, about the Fighting Frog thing. to me, one of the things, I've been lucky enough with my career to fish all over the whole country and fish with some really good fishermen. I've never, last year, Drew Cook really got the fighting frog flying for us. We ended up pulling some favors from the big bite crew to get them in on time to even sell them. We sell the heck out of them now down south this time of year. That to me has become one of the more popular bed baits that I've seen. And it kind of, like I said, to me anyway, it was new to me. It came out of nowhere last year with Drew Cook winning on it. But that fishing a Texas rigged bait on a bed to me is still so foreign.
Really?
To what I'm used to up here. Just knowing that 90% of the time I need an exposed hook to even have a shot at hooking that fish in the mouth, really getting them good. But are you a fighting frog guy? Is that something you've been doing for a long time?
Yeah. So I remember when Dean was designing that bait, we talked a little bit about this at the live stream that I did from Big Bite Baits, but it was really cool because when I went through the process of designing the BFE with Brad, you don't realize how many baits are how many of the good baits with the good hookup ratios with the good action are designed around the hook. It's not a bait that then you fit a hook to. It's a hook that you build a bait around.
Okay.
Because then you have the maximum action, hookup ratio, weight distribution, the whole thing. And when it came to that fighting frog, Dean built that around a 4/0 Gamakatsu EWG offset worm hook. Mm-hmm. And he wanted maximum weedlessness with minimum amount of plastic to have to go through, because that's the hook that he uses. So if you look at the ribs on the edge, the cut-ins on the design, the hook pad on the top, the slit on the belly of the bait, and if you take one out, you can see when that thing is actually rigged, there's like 1/16 of an inch of plastic that you actually have to go through when you set the hook. 95% of that hook set is straight meat to the fish. And I think that is key when you're bed fishing. So it looks like it's Texas rigged, and it is, but the amount of plastic that you're having to go through is so minimal. It's almost like fishing without a bait on there, the way that thing collapses onto the shank of the hook.
Well, I appreciate the explanation, because that one's always baffled me. I've seen that bait for decades, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, last couple of years, we sell that thing like crazy.
Well, it's also very, you can just flip it around. You can throw it on a biffle head. You can light Texas rig it. You can flip it and punch it. You can do so much about it, but I think that is a key where they're maximizing their pro team guys between the design with Rojas and then what we've seen Drew Cook and I think even Drew Benton and stuff guys do on the beds with it. It's got everything you need for maximum hookup, maximum action for a bed fishing bait, and then it comes in like 8 million different colors too, which is handy. So yeah, that is a bait that is made. I mean, even if you're not a big bite baits type of person, it's hard to find a boat without a couple packs of fighting frogs in it during the spawn.
Yeah, it's blown my mind. That was one I clearly missed myself when we did the initial assortment. So
yeah. What else, Trevor? Anything tournament wise, or I mean, there really wasn't anything that was completely out of whack that ended up being a winner.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like I said, for the millionth time, that fuzzy cube kind of threw everybody for a loop when
I love it. I mean, dude, when you have a podcast and a show that talks about fishing when something new comes out, like, I mean, I remember when the Alabama rig came out in 2011, we went through. I mean, after like 4 months, our goal was to try to get through a single show, regardless of what it was or what time of the year it was, because that came out in October with Paul Elias on Gunnersville in the invitational event, was to try to get through a show without saying it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. I feel like the industry has moved in a direction where if something new and popular comes up, it becomes a fad in a sense. You'd look at like BFS right now is becoming one of the big time things. Everybody's looking to downsize their bait cast reels. Why they don't just throw a spinning rod, I don't understand. But guys love throwing it on a bait caster, and that's been such a demand right now. Throwing crappie jigs on a bait caster. It's like, well, just pull out a 5'6" spinning rod, light action spinning rod. But no, it's generally Florida is your tried and trues. Your chatterbaits, your stick baits,
lipless
crankbaits, that sort of deal. You're flipping in reeds, or you're moving, using some sort of moving bait around shell bars, shell beds, and around cover. But
yeah, the only shift in staples we see there is, to your point with the Alabama rig, man. It's no, now all we talk about is forward facing sonar, and that's the jerk baits prevalence from now January through December. It is the jerk bait plays on almost every body of water, no matter the time of the year, and that's because of that forward facing sonar.
And
the one addition to the staples, unless the fuzzy cube is as big a deal as it's like last week, is going to be the jerk baits. The only thing that pops up that's shocking for a guy like me to see in Florida, that a jerk bait's playing right now.
Right. Well, and I think to your point too, Pete, is like, for the longest time we used to equate, jerk bait with cold water.
Yeah.
But nowadays with forward facing sonar, if you see a fish suspended, you can just pull out the jerk bait and work it down to whatever depth that fish is at, and then just basically course that fish to eat. It's not so much this is a cold water start and stop sort of bait. This is like video game fishing now. It's a bait that's kind of changed. Your perception on it has changed on how you can use it. So
that's good stuff. Like I said, we'll wrap this. Hey, will you guys do this every quarter? I enjoyed the heck out of this. Come on, because the next quarter after we're going to have a Bassmaster Classic under our belts. We're going to have Red Crest under our belts. We're going to start getting into a really cool time of the year where we're going to see more diversity play. Little sneak peek. Obviously, Red Crest starts later this month or this week on Lake Norman. Spotted bass fishery also with some largemouth. We see the Classic coming up at Knoxville. I think we're going to see. Well, I'll leave it to you guys. What are you guys stocking up on, thinking the primary players are going to be? Maybe just a little tease if someone wants to get ahead of the game here.
Oh, you're killing me on that one.
Because you've had to have planned ahead on it, right? You have to have ideas of what.
I'm doing my homework, and there's some baits out there that I think are going to be at least thrown a lot in practice anyway, till they find out that it's not. But I'll just put it this way: there are some hard baits that are some new entries in, like, I'd say, the square bill world and the jerk bait world that I think are going to be staples this year at the Classic. So cold water stuff is similar.
Echo those sentiments, Trevor.
Yeah, I think so. When you look at the Classic last time that it was in Knoxville, Ott Defoe won it on a hard bait, and I don't see much of that changing unless a fuzzy cube sneaks its way in there.
Oh, I do have more questions. Okay. If there are questions you can't answer, just say I can't answer that right now. What is the hell is the deal with this new Bluetooth plug it in and charge your reel before you fish with it deal? Like, this is what you guys do. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's a JDM only reel right now from the Daiwa released, but it has multiple stages of braking that you can adjust on your phone for.
So there's an app.
Yeah, you have to download an app, and you actually you can charge your reel up, and the brake's digital, but you can adjust it with your phone, and it'll also give you feedback on your day, what your long distance casting was. It'll help you learn when to maintain your reel. Like, hey, your casting distance is coming down, so you need to maintain your reel, get it lubricated again, all that kind of stuff. So a little over the top right now, but I've not been this industry never ceases to amaze me. It might be the hottest thing in the world in the next couple of years, but as of right now, it's JDM only because it's coming in around,
which means only available in Japan.
Yeah, $1,000. But we've seen with the Japanese reel market that it's not stopping consumers in the U.S.
Oh no, we've seen with Shimano. I mean, they come out with the $900 reel, and people are like, "Oh, fantastic!"
For sure. Yeah, but. Hopefully the app's in English. That's the one thing I've got a question right now. So,
yeah. And in not the metric system, but the U.S.
Oh, no
standard,
wonder be in
right?
the metric system, because aren't we the only ones that are
Yes.
not metric?
One of three or something like that.
A lot of people asking, what is with this Spro KGB Chad Shad? What are they telling the retailers on when that's going to be available?
Good question. We've ran that one up the ranks quite a bit. So
I guess I could just call Sid and badger him about it.
I can tell you this: they were nice to us. They gave us early access. We got a whole bunch on order. So your guess out there, guys, is as good as mine. That's a good one actually to bring up. I appreciate whoever asked that question, because I haven't asked that in a long time. So I'll be messaging Jacob, our buyer, as soon as we get off this, this deal here.
I will say that in their defense, in Spro's defense, they took an industry where it's very high. The swim bait guys are high maintenance. I'm saying it right now. You guys are the most high maintenance group in the industry. If someone makes something that looks like something and hurts someone's feelings, they're on message boards. And if something's a gram lighter than the other guys, they're on message board. For what Spro did, trying to take probably the most underground niche bait in the Chad Shad that has a cult following, and our people are spending hundreds to try to collab with that and come out with something that they don't get destroyed on. I am totally fine with waiting an extra year. Look at the power pole trolling motor. I am totally fine with waiting an extra year or two to make sure that those guys have it right, that they have the product right, the weighting right, that the bait reacts like that, because there'd be nothing worse than coming out with something that sucks, because it is probably the most highly anticipated collab between a small swim bait company and a major household brand that has ever been done.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting when those things finally ship. Let's see how that goes.
All right. Someone had a question about when the Tatula Elites are going to be available. The Tatula Elite stuff. Any ETA on the new Daiwa Tatula Elite stuff?
I would say if you're after them, go on the site, click the notify me on the models you want. I wouldn't be blown away if you get emailed today or tomorrow. But
is that breaking news?
Yeah, that's not a promise, because I'm in Florida. But I can tell you, I know for a fact that they're somewhere in the country on their way to Omnia. So they might be there today.
And then I'm going to throw this up one more time before we bounce. OmniaFishing.com/BTL. That just kind of gets you to the page. You can also, from there, you can join the premium. You can shop fishing reports. You can shop by lake. You can get all your stuff dialed in at Omnia. I will say this. I think it took me probably about 5 visits to the site to get used to the features. There's a whole bunch of different features on there. It's something that is worth exploring. Just go on, check it out, explore the different things. I mean, you can chat with someone if you want to, if you just need a friend. You talk about tackle on it. They can help you buy it. You could add the different lakes on there. There's a bunch of cool stuff on there. You could explore it. So give it some time to get used to the system. And once you do, you can see how it all works in coordination. You can see how you guys are trying to do something different within the industry instead of just have another .com that you can go buy the same stuff on. Fair?
Very fair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, I'm going to let you get back to the beach. Trevor, I'm going to let you get back to work. Someone wanted to know where you actually got the Iron Man mask from.
This deal right here?
Yeah, that you wore in the Classic.
My wonderful wife, girlfriend at the time, was the one who purchased it for me. I can't remember where she got it from.
Is it all like an Amazon deal, or is it a specific? Is it like a high quality?
It's Iron Man's actual mask. Yeah.
I mean, we can do a quick show and tell. Oh, it's even lighting up and everything.
So is it a toy mask, or is it like a real functioning mask?
It's a toy mask, but I mean,
okay.
I would not recommend doing a whole lot of driving.
Okay, so it was more for the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that answers the question, because I think that person was wanting to know if they could actually, hey, get one and then run 30 miles on Grand Lake and sleet with it. Not recommend.
Like I said, I will not go on record and recommend that. I will go on record and say that is not recommended. But if you're in a Classic, have at it.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for jumping on BTL.
Yeah,
We'll touch base after some of the the two biggest events in the industry this year.
Yeah, we'll be down at the Classic. Or at least I will be. I'll be running around. So if any of you listeners out there want to stop by and say hi, or anywhere around the show, I'll just be running around. Come say hi. So
you be down there, Trevor? Or are you staying in?
I'm gonna stay up here and get some more snow and hang out with the little one. So
that's why you make the big bucks, Pete. You get to go to all the events.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty.
See ya.
Adios.
See ya. All right, that was Polish Pete and Trevor Lowe from Omnia Fishing. Hey, we're going to take our final break, and then I'll briefly dive into the Bassmaster Open from this past week on Lake Eufaula, and then queue up what we have coming up on BTL for the rest of the week. It is Monday, March 6th, and we will be back right after this.
Great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels. I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out. I'm the kind of guy that never leaves a house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here on BTL on a Monday. Big shout out to Pete and Trevor from Omnia Fishing. And like I said, we're going to utilize them about every quarter to come on and just talk about what's going on in the world of fishing as far as tactics and techniques. And if there's anything, hey, listen, I like talking about this stuff, this off the board stuff, this weird stuff. If there's anything you guys have heard of, I know we talk about a lot of stuff on day 4 with Frank Scalish. Thursday we got to get Frank's take on the hairy dice. He's going to love that. Shoot me a message. Instagram at Matt Pangrak or email matt@basso.com if there's something big that you think I'm missing that we need to talk about. I'm going to, once again, really start working more and get some more bait, in-depth technique and stuff on as the year progresses. But yeah, I'm just going to do a quick 4 or 5 minute recap of the Bassmaster Open that took place this past week on Lake Eufaula in Alabama. And first, I guess I'll talk more about the process than I will the actual tournament, and I'll save that for hold on a second. I'm not a fan of this. Bassmaster, when you click on their pages, all I'm trying to do is get to the standings for it, and they have these freaking commercials that start talking live, like down the page, so you have to scroll down to find the ad, and I just got off the page instead of even doing it. Not a fan of that. Anyway, what I was trying to say before, I was trying to close that window out, was Bassmaster did a really good job with the 171 elite qualifiers. So, if you listen to what Hank said on there, he said he was really surprised that they were able to, how many, they were hoping for 100. There were over 170 that committed to all 9. We're talking 9 events starting in Alabama, New York, Florida, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama, Virginia, all over the country. With a horrible payback, absolutely brutal payback. I wish none of us had signed up for it before they did. The top 40 out of, it's like a 1 in 6.2 payback. It is the by far worst structure. I mean, if you get a top 40, yeah, you're going to make some into 225 boats. Why they don't pay down the field based on anglers? Like, I wasn't going to completely rip into Hank on that when I had him on the show. They do it in every other single tournament series on the planet. Based on the number of boats is based on the payback. They don't just say, hey, we're just paying the top 40 regardless. Go to a Wednesday night jackpot. Go to a Tuesday night jackpot. Every single other one does it. And I don't understand for the life of me why the freaking Bassmaster Opens can't do it. I feel if you finish in the top 60, top 50, 1 in 4, 1 in 4.5, maybe even I can handle a 1 in 5 payback, but you're at like a 1.6.2 something. You've got 170 guys and you're preaching consistency and trying to get to the next level and get through all these 9 tournaments. Yeah, you're not going to get rich on a $2,500 check, but for a guy like me, for a guy like me that's trying to survive and get through this and make it, I finished 47th place. I finished far into the top 20% of the field. Miles Berghoff, he's in the same position as I am. Heck, he's about to have a kid. He finishes 41st. He just left a tour to come over to a tour that's saying, hey, now we're going to value consistency across all 9, and you don't get paid for that. I don't understand why I don't understand. I'm not ripping on Bass because I'm about to say a bunch of really good stuff about him, and I wasn't even planning on talking about it. But this, I do not understand for the life of me why they can't do a payback based on the field size. Top 40? Get the heck out of here. Out of 200 something, we're the idiots who signed up, 170 of us, to do it and not even know what the freaking paybacks were. It really chaps me. All right, that being said, Bass has done a fantastic job. Bass has done a fantastic job of making this Opens EQ feel special. They had the A team there, Ronnie Moore, Steve Bowman, Jim Sexton, the photographers, Andy. They had 4 still photographers and a videographer on the water every day. They had galleries, videos, promotions. They had a 2-hour meeting where they talked about how as Open EQ anglers, we can help Bassmaster build the Open EQ brand. We can help ourselves as anglers provide content for Bassmaster. They gave us their numbers. They said, if you have stories that you want to be featured on Bassmaster, they are helping these anglers build a brand. So when they get to the Bassmaster Elite Series, the 9 anglers who qualified this year, Steve Bowman used the term, they're not thrown to the wolves. And that costs money. That cost a lot of time for all of those people from Bass to be there. Listen, I understand that it is a for-profit game that it is for, but they lost money on the co-angler side by doing the 28 to 30 day off limits. They did not have to do that. There were only 117 co-anglers. They lost money on that side, but they listened to the anglers to do the 28 to 30 day off limits beforehand. The stories, the articles, the attention to detail that these guys had. We have our own Open EQ stickers. And like I said, I know this is all a pay to play thing. We don't have to qualify for the Opens, but what Bass has done, I thought they deserve a hearty clap and a pat on the back for making this thing feel and look 100% legitimate and give it some of the pop that I think it deserves with the caliber of anglers are in, and the fact that it is one step below the Elite Series. I'll also was interested. I watched live from Seminole, from Okeechobee. They had segments about the Open EQs on that. They listen to the anglers. They have a separate tab now under the Angler of the Year for the Open EQ guys. A+ as far as fishing the event, rolling with it. They made a fantastic call about canceling or postponing the second day of competition. They canceled Saturday. They postponed the second to the third day with the winds. They let us know that in the evening. They didn't make us get up in the morning and drive to the ramp. It was a great call on that. All in all, I think they're going to up some live, Jim. Jim said they need to get live. I think there's going to be more live. I think there's going to be at least 5 final days for the Bassmaster Opens live, which is more than they had last year. Ronnie Moore came up and talked a lot about that and how the anglers can take best advantage if they're in that top 10 on the final day. And they're doing the 10 cameras too. It's not just like, hey, we're just going to have it on the leaders. It feels very Elite Series-ish, I guess. So they did a really good job on that. Man, I wish I hadn't gotten so fired up about the payback. I'm very passionate about that because I've gotten the screw job on that like 4 times over the last year, which when you add it up is like $10,000 to $15,000. We're moving on. I'm done with that. I'm not talking about that anymore. But yeah, all in all, a great, incredibly well-run tournament event and cannot be more excited for the remaining 8. So we'll talk more about this with Bradley Hallman tomorrow. He's going to talk about his Bassmaster Elite Series stuff. And then Wednesday, we'll dive into Red Crest. So thank you guys for being patient. I'm still trying to figure out how to make sure I get the podcast out in time and focus on the fishing. I don't want the BTL stuff while I'm doing the lives, but I also don't want to suck on the water because I'm focused on doing BTL lives. It's a delicate balance. I think I did that pretty well at Eufaula, but we will talk shell beds. We'll talk Seminole. We'll talk Okeechobee. We'll talk point standings with Brad Hallman tomorrow. Big shout out to Pete and Trevor from Omnia for a very interesting show today. I think that's all I got for a Monday. We'll talk to everybody on Tuesday. See ya.